Today we're going to practice using our sketch and shading pencils. So you all learned about the difference between your dark and your light pencils and how you use either one of them to make areas in your picture dark and areas in your picture light. And so we're going to practice using our pencils and drawing a picture. Here's our example. Again, like I always say, here's our example, but you can add your own details to it so that you make it your own and you are still at the same time practicing using your pencils and practicing your line drawing skills, okay? So what we're going to do is we'll start off by, if you can tell, you remember this from last year, and if this is a new concept for you, then I'll go ahead and explain it to you now. We are going to draw a line here in the center, in the bottom half of your paper, to divide the paper into your foreground. This is where your pumpkin is sitting, on your foreground, and your background. This is the background of your picture, right? This is your foreground, and this is your main object. Your main object in the picture is your pumpkin, right? And before we actually get started, why don't we just take a look at, again, the dark areas of your picture. We have it here on the side and on the bottom. And then how about the foreground? You see all these dark cross-hatching lines, right? And then you see your light areas. So we see light here in the center of your pumpkin, and then here in the background. So that means what? The light is shining down in this area, right? Remember, our light areas in our picture, they are facing the sun or the light source, right? And then the dark areas of your picture are not facing the sun or your light source, okay? So obviously down here, this area is not facing the light source, so it's dark. All right? Okay, let's get started. So what you're going to do is you can, if you have a ruler, you can use a ruler to draw a straight line here in about the bottom half of your paper. And what I want you to do is use your light pencil to sketch right now. Leave your dark pencil alone until I share with you when to pick it up, because we're just sketching now. And if we used our dark pencil to sketch and we didn't yet fully have the picture, then it would be really hard to erase it, right? So we want to use a light pencil. So go ahead and sketch a line here. You see it's very light. And then in the center of that line here, right in the middle, we are going to sketch our pumpkin. So we're just sketching the idea, the image of your pumpkin. So if you remember, our pumpkin starts with the shape of an oval, right? And then we have another half oval, another half oval, and then we've got two curvy lines up here, right? So let's go ahead and do that very slowly. Right in the middle of your line here, you're going to sketch an oval. Right? And we're just sketching very lightly because remember, if we, for whatever reason, want to change our sketch, we can, because it's light. We've got our oval here in the center. Now we're going to sketch half an oval. Remember, we're still holding our pencil correctly. Half an oval, all the way up here, right? And see how the lines aren't perfect because I'm still sketching. And now we are going to sketch the other side. And you want it to mirror this side, right? So you're going to sketch your oval here. Okay, now you've got two half ovals facing each other. You've got an oval in the center. And now we are going to sketch our stem. Our stem is going to come up from here. And my stem, remember, is just like a rectangle with a curvy line. Rectangle. And it sort of starts off wide and then it narrows in here. And then we are going to close it with a curvy line here. Do you see that curvy line? And then you're going to curve it back over here. Okay? And you've got your stem. And now we've got, remember, our curvy lines back here. So we're going to go ahead and sketch curvy lines here. And curvy line there. Okay? Alrighty. So we've got our sketch. Now we can define our picture. So what you want to do now is, if you have a 4B, you can go ahead and pick up your 4B to define your lines on your pumpkin. If you do not have your 4B, or I have not taught you about your 4B pencil, you're going to use your HB pencil to continue to define your lines, okay? So here I have that line in the middle of the pumpkin. So we're going to go ahead and erase it here. So here we have that line in the middle, and so we are going to go ahead and erase it. So that is no longer showing. And now all those exercises that we did, our line drawing exercises, our dark and our light exercises, this is where we apply them. So if you could tell, these are curvy lines going this way. When I define my lines for my pumpkin, I'm not going to scribble scrabble. I'm going to define them with a curvy line. And then I continue with curvy lines all the way up. Okay? So you're going to get tempted to go back to scribbling. I don't want you to scribble anymore. We're going to define them with curvy lines, okay? Curvy. See how it's becoming more defined? And then here, we want to use the same lines to curve up. Okay? And then here, we're going to curve. We'll curve here too. So you've got curvy lines. Stick with curvy lines. So they're curving this way now. It's only in the center where they sort of look straight, but they're still curvy. Okay? So you're just curving. And then when we come over here, we're going to curve again. So let's define that curvy line here. Okay. Curvy, curvy, curvy. Okay. You see all those curves? And then we've got some lines here going inward. And then what kinds of lines do you see right here at the top? You see curvy lines once again, right? They look straight, but they're a little bit curvy. All right, so we'll do that here. Curvy, curvy, you going in, in. This takes longer, but remember, it looks a lot neater. And we want to follow the pattern that Creation already has. So you don't want to scribble scrabble. That's why we're practicing our lines. All right. I'm going to define here, define there. All right. Now you've got your sketch done. Now let's go ahead and switch to our dark pencil. So if you have a 4B, you can stick with your 4B. If I haven't taught you about the 4B, let's move into using our 6B pencil, okay? So the 6B pencil, remember, it's really dark. So when you use it, just make sure that you are using it in the area that you want dark. So if you look here in the picture, here's your dark areas, the bottom, the side, here on this side, okay? And so you'll use that to sketch here. Make it dark, and we're still going to keep our curvy lines. We'll go up here, it's a little darker up here. A little darker on the side. And then darker right here on the bottom, right? Because it's not facing our light source. So we're keeping the center light. And then what you want to do, very carefully, is make sure that your shades, they blend. So you don't want it to look too dark and too light in one area. Okay, so we'll keep this area light. And now we'll move on. We want to keep the center light also. So we'll just go up here a little bit. Define that line. And then when we get to the bottom here, we want to go dark. So you'll sketch lines that are dark because they're not facing your light source. Okay. No scribble scrabble still, keep it. Keep picking up your pencil. If you notice, I'm not going like this. I'm not. If you notice, I am not doing this. I'm actually picking up my pencil. Do you see the difference? Between this and picking up your pencil. Here in this one, you have more control over your pencil. Okay? So we'll practice this one. So we're picking up our pencil, picking up our pencil. want to define these lines. Pick up your pencil, and then we'll go dark here again. Okay, and then let's come up here and go dark right here on the left side of the pumpkin. And you could make some lines here. You could make some lines here. Define your stem. And darken those. And then go back, take a look at your pumpkin, and just sort of go over any areas that you want to clear up. Okay, we're leaving the center light, remember? Leave the center light. You could add some lines wherever you like. Just leave the center light so that it looks like the light is shining in that area. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we are going to work on our foreground and our background. So you can go ahead and, if you haven't already, pick up your 6B pencil, and if you notice, there's a big difference between the foreground and the background. The foreground, we used cross-hatching lines and we made them dark around the pumpkin. And in the background, you see that we used straight lines, right? And we used very, very light lines with our HB pencil. And so what we're going to do here is you can go ahead and use your own lines for your foreground. You can use dark zigzag lines. You can use dark curvy lines. You can use dark stippling lines or Dippin' Dots. You can use whichever design you'd like. Just make it different than your background, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and use the cross-hatching lines again. So all I'm going to do is create these lines around the pumpkin, and I'll do that all the way around. All the way around. And because it's dark, I am pressing really hard on my pencil, right? So that it shows up. So I'll do that all around the foreground, in the foreground. And then once I'm finished with these cross-hatching lines, I'm going to switch to using different lines for the background, right? So I just want to show you an example here. Do you see how these lines, the different lines, they make the object pop out and it gives texture to your picture? Okay, so we're almost there. Now you'll have more time to work on each little area. I just want to show you how to create that contrast in your picture, okay? All right, so, and then you'll go back, and if your lines are too light, then you could go back and go over them with the dark pencil. And then for this background, I'll go ahead and just use straight lines just so that you could see the difference. And I'm just going to go like this, very lightly. Straight, 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 very lightly. I'm like barely touching the paper. Light, so that there's a big contrast between my background and my foreground and the object. And then at the very end, if I want to go over my pumpkin a little bit more, you could do that. Okay. Make it look dark down here. All right. And that is our shaded pumpkin. So if you notice, we have dark areas, we have our light areas. The light areas are facing our light source. The dark areas are not facing our light source. They're turned away from our light source or the sun. All right, and then we have our foreground and we have our background. There's a big difference between our foreground and our background, right? We've got cross-hatching lines here, we've got straight lines here, we've got dark lines here, and we've got light lines here. I want you to be able to show a difference between the dark and the light areas in your picture. All right? Okay, see you later.